Welcome, folks. I am your host, Devahntau Colonel, here on another episode with the Inspired Challenge podcast. And what's going on, Zach's people? So today, I am... Welcome, folks. Oh, excuse me.
Forgot to mute that.
Oh, man.
That's kind of funny.
Oh man. Sorry about that, folks. I had TV me going on in the background there. So before we get into today's episode with our guest here, let me tell you guys about what's going on with Inspire Challenge Podcast. As it stands, we are still in celebration of hitting 1,000 subscribers. Done about 3 weeks ago. We hit 1,000 on a piece totally centered on Christ, and it was amazing to do that. So that's something we're really proud of. In order to celebrate that competition of giving away $100 to 3 people who are subscribed, like the video, and also leave comments, $100 to 3 different people, as well as if you are a U.S. resident, you will be receiving an Inspired Challenge Podcast t-shirt as well. So if you want to join in, support the mission, then come on in, subscribe, like it up, comment it up. Right now, we have some people who are definitely in first place. We got the real Blythe that is certainly holding it down. And we also have Charlene Styles. You guys are holding it down. You guys are family to the channel at this point, honorary co-hosts and the lifeline and the bloodline of this show. You guys are little by little helping to get this show where it needs to be, watch time wise and all of that. So thank you guys for that. And anybody that wants to join in, feel free to join in. The giveaway will close what is this? April 19th. So get it in while you can, folks. Now, let's go ahead and introduce our guest. Sir, please tell the people who you are.
Hey, everyone. My name is Zach Ross, and I live here in Orlando, but I came from Boston, so I'll get more into it in a minute.
Awesome. So just a quick understanding for you guys of how Zach and I know each other. We both do networking events here in the Orlando area, and we met at an event called Orlandopreneur. It's an awesome event once every third Monday. So you just go in there and it's free of charge, free admission. Everybody can come in and just network to each other. So Zach was there, I was there, and we just started chopping it up. I said, hey, man, you do business. Let me get you on the podcast. And Zach was like, yeah, man, cool. So Zach, please tell the people age, where you've lived most of your life, what you do for work, hobbies, relationship status.
All right, cool. So my name is Zach Ross. I'm 26 years old, and I'm actually of Cambodian descent. I was born in Cambodia, and I was adopted when I was really young. I think it was like 1.5 years old. And then I was adopted into a beautiful family in Massachusetts. It's a small town called Billerica. It's right next to Lowell, so like 30 minutes out of Boston. And I basically lived there my entire life. I moved to Florida when I was 23 years old. And so once I moved to Florida, I got a job here after college in Orlando. And, this is where I reside now. And my whole goals in life were always to run and start my own company. But in college, I studied computer science. So I'm kind of like a tech nerd, but I feel like I'm really good at like people. I love talking to people. So it kind of like didn't go well with sitting behind a computer all day. So, I was really, I still do software. I build websites, do all this different type of stuff. But now I'm big in the fashion game. I have 2 fashion brands. One of them is called Shorty's Clothing, and the other one's called ZAPPAREL. One of them's a wholesale company, and the other is a personal brand of mine that's near and dear to my heart. Basically, the Shorty's Clothing one is all about confidence and self-esteem. I'm short. I'm like 5'3", and the name of the company is called Shorty's. But I was always self-conscious growing up with my height and everything. And recently, in the past few years, I've really just wanted to feel confident in who I am and everything. So, and I want other people to feel the same way. So that's kind of like the purpose behind the brand. So.
Yeah. And just a fun fact, I don't know how many people know this, and feel free to Google check me on this, whoever ends up watching this on the playback, but Jesus himself was 5 feet 5 inches. So Zach, you are closer in stature than these 6'2" monsters that lurk among us today, but no hate from us shorter brothers, but I'm just saying that's just a fact.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was shocked to hear it too. Apparently about 5 foot 5 inches tall. I said, what?
It's funny because like you see all these, people portraying or cartoon figures portraying Jesus, and it shows like this really tall dude.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes sense if they're like I don't know if he's Middle Eastern or what or where or whatever, but it kind of makes sense because people over in that area of the world are shorter in stature.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. So, man, let's go ahead and jump into this. So, go ahead and set up for us what your childhood looked like as far as coming up and how you ended up finding yourself coming into this business world.
Cool. Yeah. So, growing up, I had a very, let's say, my family is upper level in terms of income level, and I grew up in a small, let's just say, predominantly white town, right? And then it's funny, one town over was very affluent, and then the one over was very urban, city-wise. So, and I got a mix of both. I would hang out with friends from one town and friends from the other town, and I always wanted to. So my dad owns his own company. I really respect that about him. And my mom is a legal secretary. So and it's interesting. So my mom is probably one of the most positive people in the world.
That's
and
awesome.
My dad, I love my dad, but he's very negative in a sense. and so it's very it's like yin and yang. And, growing up, I was like, do I want to listen to my mom or to my dad right? So
just quick question.
Yeah,
when it comes to this positive and negative, like what's an example of the positivity of your mom and the negativity? Like how would that look in a real life sense?
Yeah. So let's just say something simple like, it's raining out. My mom was like, let's go out and hang out in the rain and have fun for the day. This is when I was little, and my dad would freak out, but he always, to this day, he still freaks about the weather. And, and he'll be like, we can't, you can't go out today. It's raining. It's whatever. And, and that's just a small little example, but it really goes deeper than that. It's like, he doesn't like to spend money. He doesn't like to go out to dinners or stuff like that, and really just I'm the exact opposite. I'm like very curious. I always want to go try new things, do new things. I don't care if it's thunder and lightning, if it's raining or snowing. Like that's not going to stop me from doing what I want to do that day. So
sounds like he was just like super conservative in a lot of ways, as far as money wise, like weather wise, like always want to play it safe. I know that some people, they even to the point where they're like, if we go to a restaurant, I want to make sure that I'm sitting on like the wall side where I can see the door, and I can also see who's coming out of the bathroom. That way I can keep an eye on things. Would you say that's kind of him or not that much?
Him. I can only remember him going out to a restaurant maybe like 4 times. I don't really. He's always just like, all right, let's eat, get the check, and leave, and then even he's like, I asked for a Coke. It's been like 5 minutes. Where's the he's like that type of person. I'm like, Dad, you're embarrassing me. Like this is why I don't like to go out to dinner with you.
You're like, Pops, let's just Uber Eats in there.
Yeah, right. No, he won't do that. He's like, nope. He's like, let's just have Mom cook. I'm like,
what?
I was like, all right.
Okay, continue with your setup though. Go ahead.
No, okay, yeah. So, so and then I grew up. I went to a public middle school, and everything. And that was and then I went to a private high school. So it's interesting. I really thought I got a lot out. People say, let's put your child to private school. Like I feel like a lot of parents want that for their kids.
Yeah.
I think I built a lot of character in that middle school and going to public elementary middle school because like you're gonna get bullied. You're gonna get thrown into like the real mix. And I thought when I went to a private high school, I was like, oh, it'd be better, but it's no better. Kids are kids. It's really no better. It's just the difference is you wear a uniform, and instead of kids making fun of you for your clothes, they're making fun of you for your hair or something like that. But I thought it was a really good character build in middle school. Not at the time, obviously. But
You're like, get me out of here.
But here's the interesting part, right? So when I was in middle school, I had no sense of fashion, no sense of style, but no one told me that except my haters.
Oh snap!
So one day I had this kid kind of like bullying me. He was like, bro, like you're ugly, blah 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 blah. And I was like, why? I just asked him why, and he's like, look what you're wearing. I'm like, what about it? He's like, you're wearing black shorts with a red stripe and a green and blue shirt. You don't match. And I was like, wait, so matching colored clothes makes you look better? They had no idea what he was talking about.
Oh, snap.
And this is literally the start of my journey into my whole fashion. I was like, I did some research. I asked other friends. I was like, and he, like, as much as I didn't like the kid at the time, I don't even remember his name at this point.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, bro, if you just like put like a white t-shirt on and like black shorts, so have some neutral colors and have one splash of another color, which is, and to this day I still use those fashion principles.
Wow.
And I'll never forget it, because ever since then my fashion journey, like going through high school, people always be like, some people are like not into clothes as much. When I look at to buy new clothes, I was like, how can I match this with an outfit I already have?
Yeah.
And and every day, I mean, we all wake up every day and make decisions of what we want to wear for clothes and everything. And now it's like, I love it now because I can make a quick decision. Some people like to put their clothes out the night before or whatever.
Right.
I don't like to do that. I just like, I'll wake up in the morning like, okay, this is the shirt I want. But I know, instead of thinking about like what would look good with it, I know if I wear any black, gray, or white pair of shorts or pants or whatever, it's still gonna look good. So that's kind of like middle school was where the fashion really started, if you want to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting. So through high school, I had to wear a uniform. I went to a private high school called Lowell Catholic High School.
Okay.
Up in Massachusetts. And basically, you have to wear a uniform and then once a month you'd have to wear like a coat and everything. I'm not Catholic, by the way. So my mom and my dad, my mom is Protestant.
Okay.
And my dad grew up Jewish. So,
oh man, that's fun.
So it's interesting.
I had on one guest like that who, same thing. His mom was Jewish, and then the dad was Christian, and fun dynamic.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. So my dad doesn't really practice Judaism anymore. And they're not super religious. Like my mom, I don't think I went to church until like 8th grade.
Oh wow.
I got baptized in 8th grade. And then,
oh man, congrats.
Yeah, thank you. And then I think I got confirmed in 9th grade. And I had and so like the first time I really went to church was like at the end of middle school. So I really didn't like know too much about religion or God or any of that type of stuff. So going to a Catholic high school where I got thrown into the mix of like all these religious classes and kids knowing all this stuff about Jesus and God and other things, and I'm just like, oh. And I think they kind of like, you don't know any of this stuff? I'm like, no, I was never really showing that type of stuff. But I thought it was really cool, right? Yeah. So I was like, I was always a great student. I got really good grades in class. And to be honest with you, I really, really enjoyed about my religious classes. I took morality, I took theology, all these different types of classes, learning about the Bible. I actually really enjoyed a lot of the parables in the Bible, like some life lessons and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as I move forward into college, I wouldn't say I lost touch with it, but I just like, I'm really focused on what's happening in my life at the time. But somehow I would say God always comes back in there somehow, because there's always things like as an engineer and a logical person, like there's like you wanting to know everything, like how things go, but there's always like things I can't explain. Like we can get to it a little further in, but there's definitely been like set points in my life where like it was a near death experience, things that happened to me that I can't explain. And, and I just, at some point I was just like, who knows? Like,
dude, there's a scientific facet to an idea that is based in scripture that we'll get into it, but man, it is something that I learned and I'm like, holy crap, this connects the dots on so many things. We'll get into it though. Continue.
Yeah, no worries. Have you ever heard of Spirit Science? It's a YouTube channel on Spirit Science.
I have not, no.
So when I was like 12 years old, because I'm an only child, by the way, I don't think I mentioned that. So, grew up by myself. And so I'm always on my laptop. I think that's why I'm like good with computers, because I would just sit at home on my computer, like learning about computer stuff. But one of the channels that I really, really liked is called Spirit Science. It's about this, it's like this animated character who talks about like he puts, spirituality, religion together with science and tries to make sense of both at the same time, how they coexist. And ever since then, there's so many different things that I've he talks about thoughts, like the idea of thoughts, other things, chakras. My favorite thing that I got super into when I was like 12 or 13 was out of body experiences and how to have them. So I would literally watch videos on how to do them. And I didn't realize at the time what I was doing, but a lot of it was centered around meditation. So, it's like the process of how to have an out of body experience is like you lay on your bed or somewhere comfortable, you relax your body, you relax your mind, and then you focus on one specific thing. And that was kind of like the whole starting process of having an out of body experience. Well, fast forward a few years, I got really big into meditation. I love meditating.
Right.
It's the same process. It's literally the same process. And it's like,
it's true. Yeah.
Do you meditate? Or?
So I used to meditate. Now I would say that it is focused on prayer, and there's a lot of similarities between them, right? Like meditation and prayer are in the commonality in that the way that you optimize it, because you can kind of meditate or pray anywhere, but the way that you would optimize it would be you go to a place that is a secluded place, no stimulus around you, and you are pretty much allowing for your mind to empty it out. Now, the difference between meditation and prayer primarily comes in that meditation is all about emptying out and releasing, whether it's stress or some type of emotional inner turmoil. And whereas prayer does that, but then the purpose afterwards is to then fill up with the Holy Spirit, essentially. But meditation was definitely about 2.5 years ago. Man, meditation was my jam.
Did you ever use anything to help you? I used some apps to help me when I first started.
Yeah.
Calm was the first one I started. I really liked Calm. And then
is that the one that teaches you breathe in at this time?
Yeah, I think they're all like that. So that was the first one I used. I liked it a lot, and then I kind of got away from it for a few years. And then when I came back to it, the two competing brands are Calm and Headspace. I don't know if you've heard of Headspace.
Definitely I think Headspace is the one I was thinking of. Yeah,
I love Headspace. I still have a subscription for it. And basically, did you know that his name's Andy, the guy who founded Headspace?
Okay.
The reason why the UI looks so clean is because he sponsored with Spotify. The creators of Spotify also are connected with Headspace. So if you look at the Spotify app and you look at the Headspace app, you're going to see a lot of similarities, not in terms of color, but in terms of design work. And they're very similar. And I like his story too. So the story of Andy, he was actually a huge in the business world, right? He liked to, he was doing really well for himself, but he wasn't satisfied or fulfilled. So what he ended up doing, I think he was making really, really good money. He went over to whether it was India or Tibet or one of those spots and became a monk for a few years. And
makes sense.
What?
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then at some point, he's asking his mentor at the monastery or temple, and is like, should I stay this forever? And they're like, you have to follow who you are. You are a business person, but and you can take all of the lessons you've learned through the monastery back into the world with you. And so when he came back over to America, he decided to go full head on with teaching others about meditation, because it wasn't really until even in the early 2000s, especially the 90s, meditation was a big thing. It's only been the past, I think, 15 years.
Absolutely.
There's more research has been done on it. And I think they talk about this gray matter in your brain, that like meditation actually has physical, psychological effects and how it affects your brain in a positive way. And people think that it's like you just sit down and you just breathe or whatever, but it goes deeper than that. It's really like it's doing something consistently for a long period of time, and it's really takes place of discipline, and it's like practicing. It's like, I think of the brain is just like working out. It's working a muscle. So if you're working out a muscle consistently over a period of time, it will grow.
Yeah.
And if you focus on your brain, calming it down over a period of time, you'll get better at making decisions and all that different type of stuff. And so, yeah, I mean,
man, that, and it's interesting that period there, because I believe we're around a similar time frame, the practice of fasting also started to gain more popularity. And that's the interesting thing, right? Is that here in Western culture, we're finding that all of these practices of Eastern cultures, whether it is meditation or fasting, or what's another one, like controlled pain, like for example, like hot rocks or something like that people used to think were crazy, that we're coming to understand that these practices of Eastern culture, like these have amazing physiological benefits, mental and emotional control benefits that people were like astounded to see, like, oh, I guess that's just what they do over there. And then learning that, oh, wow, this actually has something truly beneficial in a real world sense, whether it's fasting and the effects of autophagy. Are you familiar with all that?
No, well, I am, but what's autophagy? I've never heard of that.
So autophagy is the process by which basically your cells, because there's no stimulus and whatnot, because when you're eating, you are in an intake state. And so your body is taking in, absorbing, utilizing, storing. This is what it's doing when you eat. When you're not eating, your body is going into sort of the repair phase. That is where it goes into digestion. That's where it's trying to go back to homeostasis. That's where it's trying to get back regular. And then after a time period, it'll go into a more reparative phase. So this is when you're sleeping. This is why a lot of people, when they sleep, that's why sleep is so important, is because your body's repairing itself. And likewise, your body also enters into autophagy, which is taking the weakest of your cells or the worst qualities of your cells and literally eating them and allowing the good cells, the stronger cells, to live and thrive and to multiply more out. Autophagy is something that one of the biggest benefits of exercising is a stimulation of autophagy. Exercise stimulates autophagy about 300% more than even fasting does if you go in and you get like a really good exercise in. So it is this amazing thing that people were unaware of in terms of fasting and whatnot. And a lot of people have utilized it to like get control of their health in significant ways. That we could do a whole thing on that, you know? And then meditation, I mean, like you said, it's literally the power of a person to be able to remove themselves from stimulation, especially now, man, when you have your phone that can stimulate you, your laptop, your watch, literally everything around you, the ability to remove yourself from stimulation and to just kind of quiet it out. And people that practice it will know, man, whenever I take myself out of a million stimulative pieces around me, I feel like I just can, I can just think so much more productively.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm a big fan of those types of things in there.
So did you know that like I used to think, my brain will rest when I sleep, but your brain's actually more active while you're sleeping than while you're awake.
That's crazy.
So after I thought about that, so if your brain's working all day, right, and then you think your brain's going to be resting while you're sleeping, but your brain has maybe anyone can fact check this, just as much or even a little bit more stimulation while you're sleeping because your brain has dreams. We have dreams, which works with the brain. But when we're actively trying to calm it down, and that's why it's so hard for people to just think about one thing at a time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that exercise. If you're working your muscles during the day and at night, when do you have time to rest your muscles? Well, physically, your muscles rest while you're sleeping or while you're doing other stuff. Mentally, you're resting your brain while using meditation. So that's why they've seen consistently over time, just by meditating, the brain quiets itself and you can have clearer peace of mind and everything. So
yeah, it's phenomenal what it can do. And I know that we were going through, I think we were at your college years, was it? As you were coming into that and how that ended up leading. So when did you take your love of this fashion thing and kind of decide that you were going to start something in that? And then also how did you create that on the side of doing what you're doing career-wise right now?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I love that. And so I really went full head on with my fashion brand last July. I remember it was July 17th of 2023 that I just finished up with another business startup that I was working with. I've been trying to create startups or my own business since I think 2019 or something like that. And a lot of them are mostly tech-based, mobile apps, websites, a bunch of other stuff. And that was kind of my area of expertise in terms of career path in college and everything. I'm a programmer. I code. I do cybersecurity. I do automations, all that type of stuff. And I was working for this aerospace company doing defense and government work. And for the 9 to 5. But I had a falling out with my business partner, and so but I knew just because I was leaving that whole scenario where we were working together, I would not quit on working towards what I wanted to do with my life. So it's interesting. When I met my business partner 2 years ago, right when I moved to Florida, I had this idea for a mobile app. Now it was a fashion mobile app. I was going to call it Fashion Fit. Basically, I'll tell you a funny little story. Basically, it was I thought about this, Instagram is all about taking photos after events, after the fact. I wanted this mobile app to be taking, because people are always posting outfits of the day and stuff like that. I wanted people to take photos of their outfits before they go out, and then they could post it, and then friends could comment oh, I like this outfit, I like this outfit, I don't like that outfit, I think you should change your shirt. And it's for your friends, and so you and your friends can have whether if you want to do matching outfits. I could see girls using this. I mean, even guys, I'll text my boy or my roommate and be like, hey, how's this look or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the idea of it. So I brought in my business. I met this guy and I was like, he said he would help me with it. And then he kind of wanted to pivot, but it wasn't really a pivot. He just wanted to do a different idea. But me being oh yeah, of course. I'm super ambitious, excited. We ended up doing the whole social media route. I became a video editor, doing all this different type of stuff. We would go out into the downtown Orlando and deep record. So I would be behind the camera and he would start recording and everything. And ask people questions when they get out of the bars. And that was fun for a little bit, but it wasn't really fulfilling, satisfying to me. And it took me a year and a half to realize that really wasn't what I wanted to do. And I was being pulled away from what I really wanted to do. And I didn't see it at the time, but looking back, I've always wanted to start a fashion brand. It's something I've always been passionate about. So on July 17th, to get back to where I started, I was in my room with a friend, and I was thinking up ideas. I was like, what could I name this fashion brand? And I was like, I want it to be true to myself. I want it to be part of me. So it's called Shorty's Clothing. And my original idea was for Shorty's clothes for shorter men and women, right? And then, but the whole, there has to be some sort of theme behind it. Apple has Think Different, Just Do It, Nike. Every successful brand has their own theme to what they are and who they are. And to me, it's all about confidence and self-esteem because I felt like that was an area where I lacked definitely at certain points. So really, really telling myself, I can put on a sweatshirt and knowing that and say, hey, I'm short, get over it. Who cares? And I feel like I'm more confident now than ever. Like, I don't care if people say, oh, you're so short. Well, we're adults now. Grow up. I don't care. but I have something to show for it. And I realize I'm not the only short person in the world. There's a lot of other short people out there that I'm sure have similar experiences and everything. Especially girls. I know girls are a lot. There's a lot of short girls in the world. And so I want to look up and see the demographics of like how many men compared to women are like my brand. So that's something interesting I'd probably look at towards more.
Yeah. And I'm sure that it's huge, man. I mean, holy smokes. Cause the average used to be about 5. It was 5'7" at a time. And then I think it shifted to be about 5'9". I don't know where the heck that 2 inches came from that people were growing up. I don't know, but, we out here still repping. So
every inch matters, And so let's fast forward to a little bit. So I started my brand. And it's interesting because I didn't know how to make clothes. I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. So I remember I set up the website. That was the easiest part for me. I'm good with graphic design. I use Canva professionally, all that type of stuff. And I just post on social media. I say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I started a new brand. If anyone wants to support me, I'd really enjoy it. And I got my first sale. One of my friends back from Boston. Now, it was just a plain white t-shirt that said the word shorties in red on it. And I'm like, I don't know how to make this shirt. So,
oh, you weren't using a Vistaprint or nothing like that?
No, I wanted to keep the margins small. So I wanted to keep as much profit as I can for myself.
So you got your own piece?
Yeah. So I'll get to that in a sec. So basically what I did for this one is I was like, I don't even know where to buy this plain white t-shirt. I went to Walmart and found a plain white t-shirt. I was like, all right, this material feels kind of good. And I was in my car in the parking lot of Walmart. And I was typing in Google or Apple Maps. And I was like, print shops. I was like, okay, maybe I can just go to a print shop and print it. And I found this place down in Soto, which is like a little further downtown of Orlando. And so I started using this one print shop for a while, but they charged me about $10 per logo. So it was like $10. If I want 2 logos, like front and back, it's going to be $20 just for the logos. Oh, man. And then that's not including the t-shirt. I think the t-shirt, because I bought it at Walmart, it was like $15, $20, something like that. Oh, so let's just say I charged $20 for my first t-shirt, and I think it cost me $30. So I was like, I lost $10 on it. I was like, whatever. I was like, you live and you learn.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. The first one's always the hardest.
Yeah. So it's funny. I do like to go to networking events sometimes, and so I went to this tech networking event over the summer, right after I started the brand. Right. And usually you go to if it's a tech networking event, everyone's networking about, oh, I do software, I do this, I do that. I don't know why I went there, and I was like, does anyone know a good manufacturer for clothing? And everyone's like looking at me like, what? Like, why are you here? And I'm like, well, I was just curious. I like hoping. Because you never know. You could be talking to someone who knows so much about it.
Right.
But I actually had a few people. Was one guy. I was like, yo, I really like your outfit. I was like, thanks, man. And like he was telling me how he started his like side business and stuff. And then some guy comes up to me. He's like, yo, bro, I really, really love your outfit. I was like, thanks, bro. And I told him about I started a brand. He's like, well, I'm starting my brand too. And I heard about this warehouse here in Orlando. I'm going to go check it out tomorrow. Do you want to come with me? I'm like, absolutely. So it's called Aviva for anyone that wants to know. They do wholesaling of t-shirts, sweatshirts, sweatpants, all this type of stuff. And really, really inexpensive. So we went there and I was in heaven. It was like taking a kid to a candy shop for clothes. And so, we go there and I love networking with every person I can meet. So I was talking to all the people who work at the warehouse, and to this day I'm still really good friends with all of them, and that's really how I started my journey, because they had all the equipment. I could buy a heat press, I could buy vinyl to make my shirts.
Wait, you could buy it from them?
Yes.
Oh wow.
You can buy everything there. So you can
snap.
buy the t-shirts, whatever. So I want to buy. So I buy a t-shirt. Any color you think of, they probably have it. I bought the heat press. I bought the printer that needs to create the designs. Everything I bought there. I think my startup cost was like maybe about $1,000.
Wow.
Which isn't that bad.
Yeah,
It's not too bad. So I think about $1,000, and I set everything up in my little apartment in my room and in my bedroom, because I have a 2-bedroom, and so it's like literally just like my room is just filled with clothes now. And so yeah, then I just went on YouTube and started learning how to make clothes, and little by little I just got a little better at it, because my goal was to stop using that one print shop. He was way overpricing me for you know how much it cost me to make a logo versus, well, I'm not gonna say the prices, but exact prices, but so let's say the margin upmark is like over like 500%.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Goodness. Holy
Absolutely
smokes.
ridiculous. But yeah, right. So fast forward, let's say July, August, September, October, November comes around, and it's like getting towards Black Friday. Now, someone who's very, very huge in the YouTube world, he has like 3 or 4 million subscribers. I met him at the social media conference, and he told me, he's like, hey, a little piece of advice, you should hop on TikTok and sell your clothes in the TikTok shop. And I was like, okay, cool. I didn't know how to do that. So I looked it up, figured it out. And then I signed up for this campaign through TikTok. And I was like, cool. Completely forgot I signed up for the campaign. And once they started the campaign, I got in every like 10 seconds, I was getting a new order. I got 500 orders in one day.
Oh, wait, huh? Say that again?
Yeah, no, I literally got 500 orders in one day.
Ain't no way.
Yeah.
500 orders in one day.
Yeah. Actually, over the course of 2 days, I got like a little more. So like I got 500 the first day, and I got like 200 or second day.
Holy crap.
But I had to shut down the store because I could not fulfill all those orders.
Yeah.
And I was like, why am I getting... So what happened was they TikTok put my shop to the top of their store. So I was like one of the first people that they see.
What?
Now, this is a blessing and a curse, because meaning that enough people saw my vision, my idea, and liked it enough to buy it. Now, was it because they actually liked it, or is it because the pricing? Now, this is here I really messed up. I don't tell a lot of people about this, but I'm gonna tell it on here.
Oh snap!
So
Inspired Challenge Podcast exclusive. Let's go.
So I accidentally cut my prices in half. So let's say I charge $40.
Oh no!
Charge $40 for a hoodie, right? For some reason it charged $5 for a hoodie.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. So you normally charge $40 for it.
Yeah. And that's still, I think that's low. I think I want to put it up more, but like at the time it was $40 for a hoodie.
But when they bought it at $5,
which is half the cost of it takes for me to make a hoodie. It costs maybe about $10 to $12 for me to fully make a hoodie. Right?
Holy smokes.
And so, I took a hit. Let's say I made...
Was this intentional? Like, was this to build an email campaign or something?
This is 100% by accident. And I'm like hitting my head against the wall. But here's the thing. I could have done two things. I could have canceled all the orders, or I could have fulfilled all the orders and took the hit. And that's what I did. I kept the same quality. I use high quality clothing. This one I like is Gildan. I like Gildan for hoodies. We have a lot of other brand materials and suppliers that we use now, but I still like Gildan a lot. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Basically, where was it going?
Oh, you were talking about the price cut that you took. You decided to take the hit, fulfill the orders.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm in my room for like 4 or 5 days straight, just like so tired. I don't think I slept for like those 4 days, because TikTok only gives you like 24 hours to 48 hours to fulfill all the orders.
Really?
And I'm like, that is insane. I didn't have any help. I kind of recruited my roommate. So me and him were just sitting in my room. I was like,
And now, is this, they give you that time to fulfill it, otherwise they automatically cancel it, or what is it?
They'll try to cancel it on me unless I like reach back. I kept getting email or messages from people who bought them like, hey, like, when's it coming? And I was like, look, I'm a one-man shop and I'm doing the best I can. And I understand if you want to cancel, because I pride myself. Let's just say if I get one order, it's out the door within 24 hours. And I pride myself on speed, quality, and customer service. Those are three things I really pride myself on. But it on a high volume level, like, quality is going to be the same. I didn't skip on quality, but the only thing that had to go down was the speed, because it was just myself. But it worked out in the long run because people were expecting this really silky material from like China or whatever. But when they got it, they were so impressed. They were like, we paid $5. We thought we were going to get a $5 hoodie. No, they got a $40 quality hoodie. And they were so excited. I got 5-star ratings across the board on my TikTok. And it was amazing. Absolutely.
Wow.
And people were posting it. I was like, I got so much user generated content. And it was great. And so that was a really good learning experience.
Man. And because that's, I mean, in marketing, you see it all the time, as far as known as like a value ladder. You give somebody something at a rate that is incredible, great value in order just to get them interested. This is usually how people get email addresses, to build up like an email campaign and whatnot. So you gave what was a $40 hoodie at $5.
Yeah.
And you had all of these reviews, like you said, and you had you had reviews, you had content being made that was like tagging you.
Yeah.
And you were just getting all of these marks.
Yeah. Now the question is, what's the price I paid for it? I think I lost a few $1,000s from this campaign.
Between the actual cost of the campaign?
The campaign was free. It was, but the cost
That's crazy.
But let's say I bought 500 shirts and let's say it costs $10 per shirt. Let's just, I'm just giving numbers, easy numbers. Let's say $10 a sweatshirt to buy. That's what's it, $5,000, right? But cut that in half. So, and because instead of making profit, I'm at a loss for $5. So I lost 200. Let's say I lost $250, off the whole thing. And now it was actually more than that. But the point is, it's like I don't want, just if I promise a customer something, or someone who buys something from me, I will fulfill that, even if it's bad for me. But it's a learning experience. I could say, for $2,500, I lost out, or for $2,500, I satisfied all these customers and got great ratings, because ratings, and reviews are very important in business. Huge.
Man, so, and now I'm curious, like, what is the tail effect that had now that you have? So how many ratings did you get from this?
How many ratings?
Yeah.
Well, let's say, I think probably like, let's say 74 people, I was like 74, 75 people gave me at least 5 stars. I think it was over that, but it was a lot. And, but I have a back end on my, on TikTok. There's a TikTok back end that I can reach out to, people. And, I think I was getting a haircut. And while I was getting a haircut, I was responding to every single person who replied and commented saying, "Oh my God, I love this." I was like, "Thank you so much for this." And I want to get feedback. I was like, "Tell me how I can improve." And everyone, the only thing that everyone said was like, just decrease the time it takes, the delivery time. And I was like, on a smaller scale, you would have had that in probably one day.
Yeah.
Like it takes about 2 to 3 days. If you don't do express shipping, it takes about 2 or 3 days to get to where you are in the domestic in the United States. But here's the awesome part. People from all over the country. I was shipping to Arkansas, Washington State, California, Texas. I was shipping to all across the United States. So I can say, not everyone knows who I am yet in my brand, but my brand is out there in almost probably like half the states.
Yeah.
Which is sick.
Which is an exciting thing to be able to know that somewhere out there in at least one state, one person per state may be rocking something that you've never met, that you were just able to like plant that first little piece there and just get some people going like, "Oh, that's kind of sick. Where'd you get that? Oh man, you won't believe it. I got this for $5 on TikTok." And so, okay, so you got like 75 at least 5-star ratings on it that you were responding to.
Overall, it says like 4.9 stars.
Okay.
On TikTok.
Man, that's great. And so, like, what happened after that? So, like, yeah, what's afterwards look like?
I got you. So I was like, I'm big on. I listen to a lot of different people. I wake up every morning, and I love listening to podcasts, motivational stuff. Alex Hormozy is my number one insight, and he always says, "Give someone an offer so big that they feel stupid saying no." Right? That's what he says. But so and Patrick Bet-David he's also my favorite entrepreneurs. Talks about momentum. So after that whole thing, I was like, look, I could be happy about it. I could be sad about it. This goes back between the whole positivity between my mom and my dad. Like let's look at this in a positive light and let's take that momentum and ride with it. Just ride it with it as much as I can. And so, I really, really tried reaching out to getting ambassadors, people helping me out with the brand and everything. So I actually have one of my really good friends, down in Tampa. He's doing some ambassador work down there. And back in Boston, I have a friend who is doing some ambassador work up here. And right now I'm actually looking for more ambassadors to help me out. And I'm running a little contest, like a $500 contest for that.
Oh, shoot.
So that'll be fun. But between that time, let's go to, let's say, January, February, March, right? We're in April right now. So in the past few months, I wanted to do more complex designs, but I didn't have the capability to do it. Now there's different types to give everyone a sense of there's different types of ways to make clothing. You can use heat press vinyl transfer, which is what I was doing, which is very easy to get into.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, there's screen printing, which means you have to have a big screen printer, and that process takes a long time. It's harder to figure out. Now, I found someone that had a screen printing machine, but for me to figure out how to start it, I know if I really tried, I could do it, but it's going to take a lot of time for me to figure out that. So then there's also direct to film. We call it DTF. But I always try to clarify things. So, and then there's direct to film, and then there's direct to garment. Basically the same thing, except direct to garment is directly on the shirt, and direct to film has a little glue film, and then either way, all these different methods, you press it on there. So I wanted direct to film. I liked it. I used Print Ninja, Heat Ninja Transfer, or whatever. But back to what I was saying about networking. When I go to the warehouse, the clothing warehouse I always go to, I asked one of the girls there at the counter. I was like, "Hey, do you know anyone that that can do direct to film for me?" And we have this awesome guy that comes into the store. I'll give you his Instagram, and you can reach out. Well, so I reached out to him, and he gave me a paragraph long thing. He's like, "Hey man, I love your brand." And everything about it. And he told me what he does. And I was like, cool, let's set up a meeting. So we went to a little Starbucks and set up a meeting. And within the first 10 seconds of us meeting each other, we clicked. It's awesome. And so
that's awesome.
So we were talking about what he does. He's kind of doing the same thing. And I was like, look, I have a lot of people asking me, can you help me make t-shirts for my brand? And I told people, I know how to, or I can put you in contact with someone that can, but I just don't do that. And I wanted to focus specifically on my brand. But when I told, his name is Peter, amazing guy. And so when I told him that, he actually gave him probably 5 clients that first day. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Talk about giving value, man.
Yeah. And so I think after a few days of talking, we ended up deciding to just start our own LLC in our own company. So that's why I say when I have 2 fashion brands, I started with the retail of the shorties, and now I have the wholesale of ZAPPAREL or ZAPPAREL, whichever you want to call it. We invested about $40,000 in machinery.
Holy smokes!
So now we can do. We have these commercial grade machines to put let's say someone orders 100 t-shirts and they need them by the end of the week. Well, we already did that. We can do that. We every 8 hours we can print about 500 prints.
Wow.
And then now we were pressing everything ourselves, but now we've kind of outsourced a little bit of the other jobs, and we're still working on creating standard operating procedures, SOPs, to really grow and scale this brand. So we started, I think we got our LLC February 9th. or that might have been like our first sale as the wholesale company. And
Awesome.
we're doing insane. We're doing really, really good in sales. And we both care about the customer first. We want to make sure if they're not happy, we'll fix it. We have like quality control. We will not give you a single piece of clothing if it's not up to our standards. And we'll take the hit. We'll always take the hit. And so quality is our main thing. And so, we can do hats. We also bought an embroidery machine, a direct to film machine, and we also got a laser engraver now too. So we can make like really cool cards and stuff like that. And we have bought a hat machine, so we can do embroidery on hats, shirts, shorts, whatever you want. And so one day, I think it was like a few weeks ago, I sat down with Peter and I was like, we need to have a mission statement for our company. And I was thinking, Steve Jobs at one point said, I actually thought, maybe I heard from Steve Jobs, but I know I recently saw he said this, and I was thinking the same thing. Everything that we see in the world comes from someone's idea, a thought. Your t-shirt, my t-shirt, this microphone, anything, someone's like, I'm going to make this, right? And so what I love about clothing and merch is that you can take someone's idea for a company and make it come to life on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
If someone creates like a logo or whatever, what's the first thing tangible that they can do is you can put it on a t-shirt. So I want to create, have people's visions and ideas come to life using through clothes. And that's what I love about it.
Man, that's awesome right there. Dude, that's sick right there, man. And to think your jumping off point was from somebody coming up and bullying you about your fashion.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. So would it be fair to say that even though it does suck, would you say that everybody needs to experience bullying at some point?
I think it's builds great character build. I don't wish anyone to be bullied at any point in time in their life. It's definitely hurts. But I think there's a lot of successful people out there that have maybe not been bullied, or maybe not to some extent as other people. But I think if I ask anyone in the world, if someone told me that they have never been bullied once in their life, I would say you're a perfect human being, and I don't think that exists. I personally just don't think that exists. So, to some extent, hardships do create strong people, right?
Yeah.
So, I think I don't say like I hope you get bullied. I think that you should learn how to deal with difficult situations in your life, and that helps you further along.
Yeah. And just to clarify, I don't want anybody to get bullied unnecessarily, right? But there is something valuable about it. And now this kind of goes into like the nerdy thing that I had kind of set up with you before, which is that so there is a part of the brain, and this also kind of ties into like Bible talk and whatnot as well. There's a part of the brain, it's called the anterior mid cingulate. Anterior mid cingulate. This part of the brain is the part of the brain that has to do with willpower. And this piece basically is the piece that if you are going through something, if you experience something that is a barrier, a thing of resistance, something that you don't like, something that sucks to you, and you can push past this thing, this area of the brain gets stronger. The neuroplasticity of it increases. So when you see people and they're going through something bad and they get over it one time, and then the next time it comes up and they beat it again, this time it's like, man, you got better with that. It's literally because of the fact that their brain it's not, we have this idea that kind of like, oh man, you go through something, you just get better, better. But now we can actually put it into place and say, you can train this thing up. And the cool thing about it is this is a skill. This is a brain piece that you can train in one facet. And once you have it trained in one facet, because like exercising, let's say you're training curls, bench press, all these things to increase your strength. Maybe you might not be perfectly prepared to do pull-ups, but you're more apt to be able to do pull-ups because you're stronger in all these other senses. And so similarly, if you train up this piece of the brain to be able to overcome the challenges of X, Y, and Z, if a challenge comes up that's A, B, and C, you're also likely to be able to handle it better than a person who's never had to go through any of that type of adversity to be able to handle it. This is the amazing phenomena that we see amongst characters like Gary Vee, David Goggins, all kinds of other cases where people are like, man, I love that resistance that I get. I love that thing where somebody tells me that you suck and I have to figure out how to get over it. That's the part of the brain. And the Bible speaks to this as well, because the Bible tells us, and I believe it's the book of Romans, it says, suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. So the Bible has told us this all this time, and people have known, oh, you suffer for God and it makes you better. But now this is the literal scientific piece of that brain that God put in us to say, I want you to go through something and this thing will literally make you better in the future. Which I heard that and I just thought to myself, holy crap, God is amazing.
That's so interesting. And, I just, while you're talking, I just kind of connected back the whole, remember I told you about the whole spirit science?
Yeah.
Like connecting scientific, to the spiritual, and how they're like, there's two different schools of thought of how everything's created and all this different type of stuff. But, there's parts of everything that we're all connected and everything comes together. Yeah. And as you're talking, I was like, that's so cool. I love that. I love giving logic to things that are very hard to explain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And so, man, when I hear your story and hear about you being bullied, and then it's like, I'm going to spin this into a whole doggone side hustle. And then I hear about, man, I had so many orders I couldn't fill. That's a traumatic experience. A lot of people couldn't handle losing thousands of dollars, even with getting all these ratings and whatnot. A lot of people would go through that and they'd be like, man, I think I might close up shop. I might have to figure out something else. Maybe I don't have the business acumen because I didn't even see that. You took that and you said, you know what? Let me keep on with this momentum. Let me ride it. Instead of feeling this as a point of friction, let me ride it as a piece of a wave, and went further into it. You had a business situation that closed down on you that didn't end up well. And you said, I'm not going to let that deter me from getting into a business with somebody that you knew for a matter of days, starting something up with that person.
Yeah, that's
which
crazy.
Is like, I can't imagine starting a business, putting my name next to somebody that I've only known for days seems wild to me.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that. I don't recommend doing that, and I don't know why I did that, but I will say, because that's not the first time I've done that. And after getting out of the first business relationship, I was like, I'm never gonna do that again. And I kind of did it again, but I just had a very different feeling, gut feeling about the type of person I was going into business with. And is like I said, you need those operating agreements and everything put into place so you can have your back for in case anything goes wrong. But I think it's so actually I want to talk about this guy I met last summer.
Okay.
His name's Jeff. I'm going to come back. So this guy's name is Jeff Hoffman.
Okay.
He started Priceline.com and Bookings.com.
Oh, snap.
So if you look him up, he's wildly successful, and he knows a lot of very other wildly successful people. So he was the head speaker for this conference that it was a dev conference for developers. And I was sitting at a table by myself. I didn't even know he was the speaker. And then him and his wife actually went to go sit down at the same table as me. So it's me and them two. And I'm just being a normal human being, just introduce myself, tell him my name is Zach and everything. And then I was like, what do you do? And he kind of chuckled, and he's a very down to earth, one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And so then we were just kind of talking, and we exchanged information, and then the conference started, and at some point they're like, we're gonna invite Jeff Hoffman, the head speaker, for the night. And then he gets up, and I'm like, wait a second. And this was right before I started Shorty's clothing brand, just to give you a little timeline.
Oh, wow.
And and I realized you don't have to be, this egotistical, narcissistic type person in order to, and have a lot to be successful and have in terms of business and have money and all that type of stuff. And he wasn't. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met. And so I was trying to get a meeting with him I just want to meet him for coffee. I had no intentions of planning like selling him anything. I was emailing him for, let's see, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, 9 months. I was emailing him back and forth. Me and him were back and forth trying to get a meeting. He was always traveling. We got a meeting last week. I met with him at a coffee shop last week, and I brought him 2 Shorties sweatshirts.
Wow.
And that's just, I wanted to do goodwill. I wanted to talk to him and learn from him. And, and he told me, I asked him questions about scaling a business and everything and how he did it. And he's like, talks about the biggest things that, for him at least, were culture. And he said his number one is people over profits. And I love that because I agree with that. My number one was customer service. And it kind of goes in the same, like if you take care of your people, profits will never be an issue because, and then, he gave me this story where he talked about how, on one of his companies, there was a woman crying at her desk and no one went up to her, asked her anything if she's okay. And then there was, there was another, the manager or whatever said, hey, what did she say? She said, we don't pay people to cry.
Wow.
And he let her go, the manager go, because that's not how you treat people. Man. You treat people with respect. You treat people, no matter who they are in your company, whether it's the janitor, the doorman, or the CEO or the vice president of the company. You got to treat people all with all the same respect. And that's what he kind of told me. You want to create that type of culture.
Man, I just got to say, shout out to doggone Jeff for doggone putting culture over in such a significant, like tangible way for people to be able to understand, like the person that's on the floor crying, not doing work, you're fine to stay. You who decided that you were just going to slam on this person while they're already down instead of caring about them, you're out of here. Wow.
It's it's like, and everyone's like, I mean, most people look at that like, wait, what? Like, that's crazy. And he says, she's not one of us. And that's just how that's how you build a great team. And I truly believe that. So when I went home that night and I wrote down my values, and I can tell you my values right now. Number one is was customer service, but I renamed it to people over profits or something like that. Number two is innovation, and then quality, quality people, quality products, quality service, and speed. I always say speed because if you have the same quality as, let's just say we both have competing clothing brands and we use the same material, we use the same quality, everything. What differentiates between me and you? If it takes you 2 days to sell, to give it to the customer, it takes me 1. Who are they going to choose?
Oh yeah. Every time.
Yeah. It just sounds just like how Amazon was like next day shipping. It's like, how did he compete with other brands? eBay. I think he was competing with eBay.
Yeah.
And so like, what did he do differently? Well, he started with books, but like his main selling point for Amazon was next day shipping. And he may have not always gotten that next day shipping, but at some point he was able to do that. Same with I think it was Domino's. It was like 30 minutes or left or it's free. And people were like testing it, timing it. It's like, and so
I mean, yeah, it was so prominent. There was what was it in Spider-Man 3? No, Spider-Man 2, I think. Peter was driving around on his moped, trying to make it to his delivery spot, and he's like, "You're a minute and a half late. That's free." And he's like, "Ah, yeah." So you're right. That speed portion of it, man.
Yeah. So I wanted to quickly just jump back to the whole
100%.
So the whole people over profits was the main thing I wanted to talk about. And when I met my new business partner, Peter, he is one of the most genuine people I've ever met in my entire life. And so like, I was like, I'd rather work with someone like this than over someone who has, even if they have a lot more business experience, but they're not a good person, or they're not the type of person I want to align myself with. I'd rather work with someone like that. So,
man, that's so that was for you. The big thing was you saw the quality of his character and you were like, that's a guy I can do business with.
100%.
Man, that's awesome. And I'm curious, like when it comes to the way that you kind of emphasize a person's character, where did that part, because some people would say the opposite. They'd be like, man, this is a person I would love to hang out with, go see a movie, maybe go watch a game with, but I will not do business with this person. But you went the opposite direction with that. So where do you think that came from?
Yeah. So, but here's the thing. I've heard this thing where it's like, it's easy to become friends with people you do business with over people than like, because your values are aligned. He already had an established business doing clothing manufacturing. And for that whole first interaction, that our meeting, we talked all about clothing. He went into full detail of how he makes all his clothes, how he does his process. So he's like, he knows what he does.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I get that feeling that your stuff, your niche, your industry, I want to work with those types of people. I want to work with people who know things that I don't. Like if we're both going to clothing, he knows how to do all the direct to film printing stuff. He's teaching me how to do it, but I don't want to work with people who have the same exact skill set as I do. If we're both programmers, if we're both in the same thing, we have the same experiences. You want to build a company with people who have different experiences than you. And so it's kind of like, there's no one right answer to it. Like yeah, maybe they have all the knowledge in the world, but they're not like, you don't get the best vibe off them from like the same type of their character and everything. Or it's the other way around. Let's say they're a great person, but they don't have the knowledge that you're looking for. So I think having both those qualities, especially for Peter, it really was like, yes, I definitely want to work with you. And I could see us growing. And within the first week and a half, we had like, I probably would say like at least 5 or 6 clients. And now it's been over a month. We're doing so well for ourselves.
That's awesome, man.
Like last weekend, there was this huge conference called the Avanza Conference by this guy named Anderson. He develops like real estate. It was like big real estate developer. And someone introduced me to him, and he had us do hats and the chairs for the conference. And we just posted about that. Miami Music Week was like 2 weeks ago. And one of my best friends, he hired me to do the 100 t-shirts for his nightclub down in Miami.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Just just like that.
Just like that. And guess what? I guess how much marketing we've done for this company.
Besides the TikTok?
TikTok is for shorties, but this is for ZAPPAREL.
Okay.
Or ZAPPAREL.
Yeah. Just the networking events?
We've done zero marketing. Wow. Zero marketing. It's all referrals. I've had everyone, because like people was like, oh, if you need a t-shirt, go to Zach and Peter. They know what they're doing. They'll keep the quality. They'll keep the speed, and that's what we pride ourselves on. So,
man, that is doggone quality work pays off. So, did my phone? You won't believe how many times my phone has died in the middle of a live stream doing Instagram live. I think so, but which is crazy because it was at like 55%.
Yeah,
but
you got to plug that in.
I do. I need to start doing that. I need a longer cord for it. So, man, that's so cool to see, because you're only 26.
Yes.
Right? 26, second business, and you're having some results that people are like, man, I would love to get to that with like something they're starting. And you were also talking before we went on air, you were saying that you also had a conference call with Gary Vee.
I did. Last Wednesday, I got on live with Gary Vee.
Was that before or after your meet with Jeff?
So Tuesday, I got my meeting with Jeff. Wednesday, I got on live with Gary Vee.
Holy crap, bro. You're just like, man, this is a good couple of days here.
I was like, boom, 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 boom. What else can I do? Like,
jeez. And so what were some pieces of like wisdom that you got from Gary, and like where did you manage to facilitating that?
Yeah, let me give you a little backstory of how I got on with Gary Vee, and then I would go into some of the stuff we talked about. So, by the way, Gary Vee is one of my favorite entrepreneurs in terms of the industry.
And I just realized, for the audience members that don't know who Gary Vee is a marketer who's kind of touted as like the godfather of social media marketing. He was invested in Google Ads before anybody else did it. He built a wine business from $3 million to $60 million off of Google Ads and then Facebook marketing plays. He called, back when it was called Musical.ly, Gary Vee knew TikTok would be the monster that it is today, back when it was Musical.ly, when it was just girls dancing. And look at it now, to where the government is like, this thing TikTok is too powerful. So Gary Vee, he's had his things that he's eaten it on, that he didn't pull the trigger on. Like, he had the opportunity to get in with Uber and he passed on it. But he's also called it so right. So the fact that Zach was able to get on a call with this gigantic Chad of marketing, it's kind of a big deal. Go ahead.
Cool. I love that. And so he's coming out with a new book called Day Trading Attention, and it comes out in May. And I saw a video on YouTube about it, and I bought one copy for myself. And it's like, oh, buy a second one. So I bought a second copy. This is probably about maybe like a month ago. So I bought 2 copies because when I buy a book, I love buying multiple so I can share with other people.
Nice.
And
I love that.
I love sharing information. And so then the last Wednesday, he was doing an 11-hour live stream from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m.
That's crazy.
11 hours. Did not stop the entire 11 hours.
What?
Like we're on for maybe an hour and a half or whatever. And
hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah. And he's going on 11 hours. So I'm driving to Peter's work to drop some stuff off or pick some stuff up. And while I'm driving, I saw that Gary Vee was live on Instagram, and I click it, and he's like, okay, they're doing a special where if you buy his books specifically on that day, and you put your Instagram handle and ask a question, they might ask you to be on live with him. So I was like, well, I already bought 2 books. Whatever, I'll just buy another book. So I bought another book because I put my Instagram handle and then asked a question. Now, his team reached out to me. He DM'd me and was like, do you want to be on Gary's live? Well, I didn't see that for 8 hours.
Oh, man.
So I went into my request DMs, which I never look at my request DMs.
Yeah.
I may look at them maybe like once a month or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, and then later that night, it was probably like 8 p.m. I was driving to Peter's house to do some other stuff for work. And I'm at a red light. And so I scrolled all the way down to the end of the DMs, and I saw requests. And I don't know why I clicked it. I really don't know why I clicked it. And I saw the top is like Gary V's team check with the check mark. And I clicked it. I was like, hey, here's the link to join Gary Vee live. And I messaged them. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. You texted me at 10 a.m. this morning. I did not see it. And they're like, well, we're on for another 30 minutes if you want to hop on. So I was like, I'm driving right now, but let me get on Wi-Fi. So I think I went like 90 miles an hour to Peter's house, and I get there, and I open my laptop and I click the link, and they're like, you're going to be the second to last person on his show tonight.
Wow.
And I could, and I give him so much credit for being there for 11 hours, and he still had the same energy as he did when he started. And because he gives it his all. Yeah. And so I was able to tell the world a little bit about Shorties and tell them about both my brands. And then I asked the question. The question I asked was, I want to build my professional company brand alongside my personal brand, because I listen to Chris Do, I listen to all these other Alex Ramosi about building a personal brand as well as a professional brand, because if your personal brand goes up, your company brand goes up, because people trust the person more than the company. Yeah. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And so I asked Gary, I was like, what are your thoughts on that? He's like, you need to let it ebb and flow. So it's EBB and then the word flow. And I was like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. He kept using the same word. He's like, it's just like push and pull. It's like whatever energy flows at one time. Let's say one day you want to post a lot of content from your personal brand. Go for it. Another day you made some content and you want to push it towards your company brand, your Shorties brand, whatever, push it. So don't feel obligated to push to force pushing content to different platforms for one or the other. Push whatever you feel in the moment in time, and so I really enjoy and that's really great. So that was pretty much the main thing that we talked about. So yeah.
Man, so he kind of gave the let it come more naturally. Don't try to push the rock up the hill. Let the rock roll where the momentum will take it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I forgot what he said. He also said was every second you're thinking about posting content is a second you're not posting content. And I was like, okay, so if you have an idea, you just post it. And he's like, that's what you here in the first place. I'm like, you're so right. So and if anyone wants to see it, it's on my Instagram, and they can check it out. So
man, that's so fly right there, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Dude, it's so cool having like sitting here being able to talk with you, and there is just a goodness and a positivity and a good spirit that emanates from you. And it's cool to see, because I'm sure that when people hear that you kind of come from something that's a little bit more upper class, maybe they assume that you're uppity, or that, maybe you're some sense of entitlement, but that hasn't been what I've gotten at all in my experience with you.
Thank you.
And have you ever found yourself being judged in any capacity because of like where you come from at all?
So it's interesting. My first college I went to was Roger Williams University over in Rhode Island, and I left after one semester because and I never really let this doesn't bother me at all, but it was more like in terms of race, like it was like there's a lot mostly white people there, guys and girls, and I was kind of like the outcast, and like it was weird. It was the first time in my life that I just didn't fit in. So I ended up leaving and went to UMass Lowell is where I went to college. And that was so diverse, of every race and ethnicity. But in terms of like the only other time I have seen that is when I worked as a server at a really nice restaurant. And there's like a lot of affluent people there. And I would at some points get like less tips or other things because I think they just thought lower of me, and that could have been just me at the time. I wasn't in, I was in a growing stage in my life in college, and so like, but I mean, if I went back now and served, I would just choose a different restaurant. But I have experienced it a little bit, but it doesn't bother me. Because I just see myself as the same as every other person. Like when I'm talking to Jeff, who is very much more successful in terms of financially or wherever, I don't see him as, whoa, he's this incredible guy and I'm here and he's here. I see us both having our own journeys and be able to just have conversations and learn from each other. I have this one thing that says, learn from every person you meet. Everyone has their own experience and their own story, and you can learn something new from every person. And when I was in high school, I took this class called morality. I didn't like the class, but he, the professor or the teacher, had us watch this movie called The Human Experience. I think everyone should watch it. It's about this. They do this interviews with some homeless people on the street, and then they do some interviews with people who are CEOs, high net worth, and it's like we had to write an essay. What did you learn from each person? And what I realized is that you learn something different from every person. And you can take that into a positive manner or a negative manner, but I like to find the positive. So like, let's just say you're interviewing someone on the street and they had some hard times. What did you learn from that? Well, maybe you shouldn't do drugs. Maybe you shouldn't do this for your own personal life. And you could take some positivity from there, and you take some positivity from the CEO talking about financials, business, whatever. So that's kind of like what my whole motto is, like learn from every person you meet.
Yeah, that's good, man. And man, that like the ability to look back at those things and to like just say, you know what, I'm not going to hold any type of extra weight or value in that more than just saying, I just would have chose a different spot to be at. Like some people, they have those experiences, and then those experiences can define a lot of who they are. And there can be like a resentment that builds up, and it doesn't seem like that has happened to you in any capacity at all, which is like a testament to I mean, you know, they say be like a duck, let it flow off your back, right? So
I heard that before.
You're ducking good right now, man. Well, I do see that we're coming up on about the hour and a half mark. So just to keep in step in line with respecting your time and whatnot, I do want to go ahead and look at moving to the portion that is, what are the 3 main elements that you want the audience to take that you have given here, that you want them to either remember or that they should look at implementing in their lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love that. The number one, like I said, my number one value is people over profits. People are more important than anything in this world, because whether you're doing business or whatever, the question is, you know, if you create this whole complicated system of business, who makes you money? Other people. But it's not just that. It's not just making money and everything. It's actually caring about the people that you're working with, the people who you're providing value for, and it's people who make this world go round. And so I think people over profits is very, very important. That's my number one thing I want to talk about. The number 2 would probably be kind of what we just talked about, is learning from every person you meet. Like go into a gas station and speaking with the gas station attendant, or going to the movie theater and talking to the kid at the register, or talking to anyone on the street, because you never know who you're going to meet. Like I met Jeff Hoffman sitting at a table, and I just by myself, and you never know where life takes you. And the third thing is, I think, is always be positive and curious, because I think there's a lot of negativity in this world, and negativity, I think, is like a magnet. Like it can suck you in easily, but if you choose to find positive moments at every point in life and during the day, I think it's a little harder for that to come by. But I've found being around more positive people, or if they're not, either they'll walk away, or the more positive people, they'll start thinking positive. Well, I hang around a lot of people, and I like to think that my positivity resonates with them and my curiosity, because I'm always asking questions, learning about other people. I think the main thing I keep saying is the word people. People are so important in this world, and we're all connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it, man. Love it. And so just to recap for the audience too, that is talk to people and hear about their stories. Holy crap. Lay it up, Zach. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got you, man. I got you. People over profits, number 1, really focusing on people. The number 2 is learning something new from every single person you meet, and be positive and curious everywhere you go.
Hey, look at that, man. Thank you so much for that, Zach. That's so good there. And the next piece of this is, what are any 3 questions that you might have for me about literally anything? And I will answer it completely honestly.
Okay. So you started your podcast, Inspire Challenge, you said about a year ago.
Yes, sir.
And I love it. I was asking people, where do you see this going? Where do you want the brand to grow? What is your outlook for the brand? I like to start small. Let's say 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. That's my first question.
So the 1 year, I probably see that, to be honest, right now, I feel that where I'm at with it, as far as maybe the quality in certain instances, the engagement, everything like that, I think I'm still in the like value giving stage. But also I am opening up my mind to the idea that maybe it is time to start doing some outreach, looking at how I can collaborate with some other companies, things like that. So in a year, I do see at the very least being partnered with a company in some form. I don't know exactly how, whether it's to go into communities and partner up, you know, having maybe a young man that's interested in getting in the fashion world, sitting down and having a conversation with you, and like, you know, whatever it takes to facilitate that. I see the podcast being a place where and this is how, when I started it, this is where I wanted it to get to, is a place where a person of a younger generation could sit with someone of an older generation, and there could just be like this feeding from the previous to the next generation. So hopefully in some way, I don't know how yet, but doing that. Now within the next 3 years, I would love to see this podcast have, maybe partnered up however many young people to some adults, for there to be like this community that has been in the works and has been growing. It's been making its mark. And it has been like, at this point, having a noticeable effect in like getting the word of Jesus out through the efforts of like this mentorship cycle that's been going on, that the podcast has been facilitating. I'd like to see it be at least on its way to self-sustainability, if not already fully self-sustaining. When it comes to the 5-year mark, I would like to see the podcast fully sustainable, able to sustain the lifestyle of myself and my wife. If she wanted to work, she'd be out of work with it. I would have a vast network of different people, from CEOs to CFOs to solopreneurs, that are on standby waiting to hear who they're matched up with, who is the person that is being selected. I'd like to be giving like kind of starter packs for kids to be able to, whether it's go to school or learning how to, a combination of practices that they can implement in the school setting to be successful. If they're entrepreneur minded, having some type of tool set that is equipping them to know, okay, if I'm here, this is what I need to be doing in order to maximize, how to take advantage of moments and seize moments, and how to look at scripture and go through scripture and say, oh, I'm in this moment where I just got, called something, what does scripture say about this? And then they can go to Ephesians 1:3-14, or they can go through Romans and they can see what God says about them. So hopefully at that point, my network would be so vast, and the tools that I have to equip the next generation would be so vast, that it's coupled with not only practical real world advice, but also scriptural advice, in order to create what I think is the greatest and ultimate form of a man, which is one that understands what it takes to survive in the world as a dog, but also one that understands what it takes to thrive in the kingdom as a lamb.
I love that. That's awesome. That's great. That's amazing. And while you're talking about that, you did mention something about your wife, and this goes more into relationships. I know you asked me earlier. I don't think I ever answered this one question. I am currently single, and you said, how long? This is
a young, successful man, ladies.
How long have you been married?
So I have been married we are coming right up on a year.
A year?
Yeah.
Wow.
In May, we will be 1 year.
How long have you been together?
2 years.
2 years. Wow.
2 years.
That's quick. That's quick.
Dated and married within a year, and then anniversary for 1 year marriage coming up. Yeah.
So I have a question on top of that, which is still part of the second question.
Okay.
But before I do, one of my really, really good friends, he just met this girl down in Mexico in January, and it's April now, and they just got engaged.
Oh, snap.
I was like,
wait, January he met her?
Yes.
And it's not 3 months?
Yes. And I'm like, bro. He's like, when you know you and you know. I was like, I understand that. Well, I really don't. But
hey, that's real. Wait. The only way that this makes any type of sense, are they Christians?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Because
I have no idea what he is.
I see it all the time in the Christian world. One of my pastors at my church knew his wife, his now wife, for 4 months before they were married. They went from like month 2, they got engaged, and then they got married like 2 months after that. Been together for 30 something years now. Same with another pastor at my church. They dated for like 6 months, got married, been together for 30 some years, 40 some years. So in the Christian world, that does happen. But if there's not God in there, I am shooketh.
Yeah, I don't know. Like he probably is. I don't know. We don't really talk about it that much, but he's doing very well for himself, and he's actually helped me with a lot of business stuff. And we're really good friends. We live in the same apartment building. But I was like, I give him crap about it all the time. But at the same time, I was like, look, I'm not gonna knock it because same thing could happen to me. It could happen to anyone. So like, you never know who you're gonna meet. So my second question for you was really, how did you meet your in such a short time span? I think even marrying someone after about a year, you said?
Yes, sir.
Like how do you know?
So for me, the way that I know is that I was in a relationship previously, and there were so many good elements, and things never moved, but they didn't move because they couldn't. They moved because I kept telling myself that things need to get to a certain place before I pull the trigger. And eventually that created doubt. So when I became single, went to God, decided that, you know what, I'm not going to be this person that is just taking his time with things. I'm going to be purposeful in what I'm doing. And the biggest thing a man can do for a woman is create security, emotional security, financial security, physical security. So when I got back in the dating market again about a year later, maybe a year and a half later, I said, I'm looking for a girl with X, Y, Z qualities. And if she doesn't have A, B, C qualities, out the door. I'm not wasting no time, because another thing that I learned in my previous relationship was the attraction factor does matter. And in my previous relationship, we had agreed that, we neither of us were each other's type, but we kind of like fell into it, and then it was nice. And so we just kept going with it. And it ended up not inoptimally. So I said, the next time that attraction factor is going to be on point, the absolute necessities are going to be there, and then X red flags are not going to be there. When I met my wife, all of these things were met. Plus, she kind of hit a bonus because we went on our second date. And from our second date, she had taken notice that on our first date, my eyes were watery and irritable. So on the second date, she showed up with Kleenexes and eye drops for me. And it wasn't just like to use. It was like, oh, I bought these so you can take them with you.
Oh, that's amazing.
And excuse me. Oh, man. Dude, she did that. And I said, who does this? And I was blown away. And I said, you know what? At the time, I was kind of dating. I think I had like 4 girls I was like dating at the time. And I said, you know what? Let me take this a little bit more seriously. Maybe it doesn't materialize to the full thing. That's totally possible, but I need to be a man that knows how to pull the trigger, because I know what happens if you don't know how to pull the trigger. So I pulled the trigger. I told her on the second date, hey, look, I want you to know that I think you're amazing. I've got dates with other girls scheduled. I don't want to do them. I want to focus on you, and I want you to be my girlfriend. She wasn't ready at the time, but the point is, I let her know what was up, because I'm not wasting any time for myself and for her, And then after that, man, it was dating for a while, and I decided to marry her probably about 3 to 4 months in, once I saw that we could get through some things. And then I decided she wasn't ready for the proposal, so I held off on it. I would have proposed to her earlier. And then one day I decided I'm going to surprise her with this after the year mark and propose her. There were some things that there were moments that were very close to being break it moments. And there were moments that there were tears involved, being on couches and having to talk. And I mean, there were probably 4 or 5 of those. And each time we were able to talk about the things and the circumstances, like I don't think that there's such a thing as a woman that has like all the pieces there. And because of like certain trauma factors and whatnot, there's always going to be something that is an issue. But there was enough good there that I could work with a lot of the issues. And even to these days, some of those issues still pop up that we still have to deal with on her side and my side. But when I look at the dating marketplace and the fact that for me, the biggest thing was the presence of God in the relationship and that she seeks that as well, that was my absolute number one. And she has that in spades. So yeah, man.
Awesome. And I know you said, and it's funny because like I've had these, like, as you're talking, like I have like a third question and you actually always end up saying part of the third question that I have in there.
Oh, really?
The third, which is great. So no, because I want to transition into spiritual. And so for me, like I don't know if I'd say, I'm not Catholic, Protestant, whatever, but I am spiritual. I believe in God. I have 2 religious tattoos I have a Jesus on my arm and I have a cross on my back.
Oh, wow.
But I have, I really like the Buddhist teachings, right? So I like the Buddhist teachings and I want to do some more research on other religions as well. I don't want to I want to learn about all the different religions and then decide what I want to take from each one. I think it's just like people, you can learn from different things from every person. I think you can learn things from every religion.
Yeah.
And I want to, what's your take on that? I know it's like you can choose one faith to be like wholly faithful in, or what are your thoughts on like dabbling, looking into other ones? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. So I think that, and this is a great question, and it's the first time I've ever gotten this question. Honestly, I've been waiting for someone to ask it. So thank you for finally being that first person here. When it comes to learning about the different religions, I think it's something that makes sense from the perspective of being a curious person that loves to learn, because that's exactly how I used to be. I studied people's lifestyles. I studied people's religions. I would look into these things and I just wanted to know. I think that while you are a single man and you don't have another person's heart that you are responsible for taking care of and protecting, this is the time to do it. Because once you do get into a relationship, you need to start pulling those triggers. Because now the thing about learning is that, and learning in the way as far as learning different lifestyles and different religions and whatnot, is that these things all have teachings that are not meant to just be learned about, but practiced. I know a lot of people that learn about Christianity. They learn the doctrines, they learn the parables, they learn all these things. And there was a scripture that showed it, that it is not simply enough to learn about the scripture, but you also must put oh my goodness, hold on. I need to do this for audience value, okay?
Sure. No problem.
I'm going to look it up super quickly because I want this right here to be something tangible that you can take and also that the audience can take. Oh, wow. This wasn't the one that I was looking for, but this one says it incredibly directly. Let me see if this is the proper translation of it.
Yeah, no problem.
And I have no problem doing this because when it comes to like making a piece with this, I'll just cut all this in between
Okay,
space.
cool. So wait, when you'll edit it before you post it?
Not the raw one, but I'll have like a like an excerpt piece that I take, and it'll be like a nice smooth piece.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, so this is one verse that says, "What you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you." So this is one verse that says it in a lighter way, but there are other verses that talk about how the seed that has been thrown into it's like the gravel, though it got planted by dirt at some point, it was shallow. And so when there came a trial, it got crushed. And what was it exactly? Yeah, when winds came, it like burned it up. When the sun came out, it burned it up because it was shallow in the dirt. And so similarly, as good as it is to learn about these things, if they are not, and you talked about this, right, when it comes to belief in something, the biggest way that people in Alcoholics Anonymous are able to get over their addiction is that they believe in what the thing is holding them accountable for recovering. The people that relapse constantly are the people who just think the battle is between them and the addiction. But it's that belief in this tenet. And so learning about it now, fine, but that is not the place to build a relationship from in that, because your woman is going to need you to be a rock. She's going to need you to be something consistent that she can trust. She's going to need you to be the guide for her. You know, you're a successful man. You've come up, you've beat trials and tribulations. You've experienced things that a lot of women will not understand, but they will admire. So if she loves all of these things about you, but then, you know, the idea of loving someone for their open-mindedness, that is the case when it comes to loving people, but that is not the case that women feel when it comes to where a person's focus is. And what learning these things in a deep manner does is it takes your focus off of being an optimal partner and off of guiding her, because you're so busy feeding a curiosity that you're not, you know, people are limited. There's only so much bandwidth people have. So yeah, I would say do it while you can. And once you get to that relationship, be prepared to pick something and rock that, because it is going to be your job to lead that and to teach her what is going to be sort of the guiding post for y'all two's life. Because if you're not teaching it to her, she's going to be getting it from her friends or her parents or whoever else that is more solid in a life view than you. I don't know any 60-year-old women that is just like, oh, my husband is so open-minded, da-da-da. Most women are like, oh, yeah, he's pretty, hard on about this, da-da-da. But even though they may say it somewhat like, the truth is they appreciate that stability. And it certainly the older we get, the more that becomes necessary. So yeah, that's what I would say about it.
Awesome. Great. Those are my questions. So
awesome, dude. That was such a good question, man. Holy smokes. I love that. And then for our last segment of the show, what is something that you have going on in life that you either are struggling with that you can confess now, or something that you would just like encouragement about, or something that amazing has happened that you just want to give a praise and a shout about?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Well, can I do both?
You can, yes. And the audience and I will come around you for prayer and that.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay. Right now, I'm at a point in my life where I'm I'm really struggling internally to do what this is hard. I don't even know how to describe this. It's gonna I'm trying to find. I think every day I'm always asking myself, who am I? Who am I trying to be? I'm trying to be the best version of myself, and I want to surround myself around the people who help me get there. And over time, I've gone through so many different friend groups over the course of the years, and right now I'm really, really trying to be in a season of no, where I'm saying, hey, no, right now I can't go out this weekend, I can't go out tonight, I can't do this, I can't do that, and it sucks because when I tell someone something, I really want. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and so it's really killing me because I have a hard time saying no. So that my biggest struggle right now is being in this season of no and having the willpower and the discipline to stick to what's important to me and what I need to get done. Because it's not going to be a season of no forever. It's just going to be at some point where like, okay, I did what I need to do for this period of time and I can relax again for a little bit. But I've been having fun for so long. And it's like now I need to buckle down and really focus on my goals and my career path and what I'm doing in the next few years.
Yeah, that's great awareness, man. Holy smokes. All right. So at this time, audience, if you would, please join me in prayer for Zach about just the ability to take this season of no, use it wisely to be able to prepare himself and just buckle down for what's to come. All right. You ready?
Yep.
Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that we were able to meet together with Zach here. We thank you for the fact that we were even able to have the encounter that we did that led to this, that you allowed a space for us to come together that was comfortable, that was inviting, and that we both just had the tools needed to be able to connect with each other in a way that a lot of people are wishing that they could, and that we would just pray that people would be able to connect with each other. And Lord, we thank you just for the safe travels that we had, all of the utilities that we have that facilitate this, the blessings that allow for Zach to take this time and for myself to take this time. God, we know that not everybody can have a Monday at 12 o'clock to 2:30 just to be able to sit and talk in front of a camera, God. So we're just so thankful for the fact that you've blessed us in that way. At this time, Lord, we want to pray for Zach as he is someone that is such a social butterfly, someone that loves to go out and meet people, talk, make plans, attend, experience laughs and joys, and just experience things with people to be able to build memories. We know that this is a time that it's difficult to know that there has to be an intentionality to put those things on the side as Zach is seeking to just build up something in his name that has the ability to be profitable, something that he can look at and be proud of, and also that it can facilitate his life, Lord. And these things require sacrifices to make this progress. And so we just pray that you would give Zach the resilience and the long-suffering ability to continue being able to say no where is needed and saying yes where you are opening doors for him and providing avenues of growth for him, Lord, even if there are areas where there might be some pain and suffering, even if there are areas where there is confusion and there is doubt as far as, is this the right thing? We just pray that he would be able to say yes to the things that are from you and say no to anything that does not facilitate his goal of growing at this time. We know that it's only a season. It is not something that will be permanent. And so we pray that that would also strengthen his resolve and his heart to be able to take this season seriously, God, and that you would just bless him with all of the indomitable spirit that he needs to maximize this time, Lord. We thank you, and we thank the audience for being here. We pray that the audience has been blessed by hearing this, that they've been able to hear some of the wisdom of Zach, some of the lighthearted fun elements of him, and also just some of the amazing, inspiring things that he's done just at the age of 26. Some of the ways that he's managed to grow things in his own right or with the help of partners, and that they would also take what he had to say as far as meeting new people and learning from new people and just be able to walk with that God and keep it to their hearts and their minds. We pray that everyone would have a great rest of the day and be blessed in this episode. And it's in Jesus' name we give you all these thanks and praise. Amen.
Amen.
You guys. Oh, snap. I want to thank y'all so much for tuning into this episode. We got to some pieces here, but I feel like there's so much to dig in with Zach and so many different takes and opinions to get from him going forward. So I want to look at definitely getting him back on sooner rather than later. So if you guys like this, make sure to leave a like, comment down what you got from Zach and what you hope for him in the future, and share this out to anybody who has a clothing store that is seeking to grow. Zach is somebody that he's got so much wisdom in this, and he's got the connect. So he'll be able to give anybody a source. I'm sure that whether it's consulting wise or whatever it might be, be sure to go check out his store, ZAPPAREL or ZAPPAREL on Instagram. All of his links and information are going to be down in the description. So show him some love in the comments, go on to his social media, show him some love there. But you guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you're blessed today and for the rest of this week. And before I close out, Zach, do you have any last word for the people?
I just wanted to thank you for having me on, and it was a pleasure, and I look forward to doing this again, and thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah, you guys. So y'all have a great one, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Inspired Challenge Podcast. Take care, everybody. And